Alrighty then, it's time for a jungle Amumu game, and this one is a very reluctant one. Which one? Mostly because I really wanted to play jungle Zac, but unfortunately, my opponent first picked him. Ever since Nidalee and Gregs were nerfed, most people have been relying on Zac to be their jungle god, and he's been doing very, very well. So, mostly since I really needed a tank anyways, I decided to go Amumu. It was kind of a panic pick. Plus, and some of you might really be pissed off with this too, just because I was pissed off, my teammates might have been pre-made because they looked up my low king and banned all my champions that I would probably play and said, play a jungle tank, we need a tank. So they banned Aurelion Sol, they banned Jarvan, who, could have been a tank, but whatever, and they banned Echo. So they were pretty much forcing me to play a tank, and unfortunately Zac was taken. So, hooray for Amumu. Funny enough, I just gotta point this out, that if you were just to make Amumu a blob and grow him like a couple of feet more higher, and maybe give him some muscles, and just make him a little bit more angrier, he would almost look like Zac. It's just like Amumu before he grew up, and before he revealed that underneath those bandages, he was just a blobby mess of goo. Anyhow, as you can see, the early game is pretty lolzy. Mostly, I made a level 3 gank as Amumu, mostly because Ahri was pushing her luck. Riven is obviously suffering Riven problems of getting too cocky and getting punished by Renekton. And my bottom lane got a very lucky kill early on in the game, although they didn't showcase it in this replay. Anyways, there's a lot of pressure going on bottom lane, so I keep constantly having to move down there. And unfortunately for us, Jhin just deals a shitload of damage and mostly executes people. By the way, I gotta point this out, that's pretty good of the Lucian. He dodges my ultimate with his flash, basically pinpoint. However, of course it doesn't really matter because me and LeBlanc are able to catch him and murder him. I dodge Ahri's moves, and I nimbly survive this. Ahri almost comes close to death, but fortunately for her, Zac saves her by a little bit. By the way, that LeBlanc image shit, it's gonna completely trick the opponents like 10 more times. Just, it's ridiculous. I hate that move. I hate that passive because when it works, you feel stupid as hell. When it doesn't really do shit. Anyhow, yeah, I went with a more sustaining build with this one, getting the Hunter's Potion. Gonna go with a tank build rather than AP. Mostly because it just sort of seems like it's going to be one of those games where it's going to be rather much of a slugfest. We do have damage, they have damage, but what's going to come down to is basically who gets the better initiation and whose tanks, me or Zac, soak up the most damage. So at least that's my intention here. By the way, the Janna basically killed the Jhin by doing that. I flash over ultimate on the Ahri, although it's going to be rather pointless. I did that because I was hoping she wouldn't burst somebody down during that combo, so it was more of a quote-unquote peel more than anything else. But yeah, this is sort of a game that it's gonna come down to the team fight. So laning phase is important. I mean, it is important. Yeah, I'm messing up the word. It is important, but it doesn't really matter ultimately until the team fights. Again, we have great initiation. Both teams have more or less proper damage, although it isn't the most clean forms of dealing damage from some of the members or the combination that we have. And honestly, just very well-rounded teams. So, I was very on edge throughout the whole thing, and it seemed that both teams were at least very competent in moving around the map, sans the both top laners kind of being on their own little island. Whenever I show up, Zac is always there to stop me, both mid laners roam to do some shenanigans, and everyone seems to respond. Like, look at this scene. I get on Braum to try to get onto Lucian, and they focus me down while Zac really, honestly, excellently kept the Jhin and the Janna pretty much occupied. If he didn't do that, my Jhin could have just ignored him and shot down Braum and Lucian. Sure, Braum eventually totally did die, but it would have been probably a bigger disaster. The amount of resources dedicated to killing just Braum himself was immense. Here, unfortunately, I end up dying because I threw my life away to save LeBlanc, and technically, it's not the worst kind of situation to be trading off because you don't really want your LeBlanc to, you want your LeBlanc to maintain their momentum, which he kind of is. Either way, I really do got to point out these are one of my favorite types of games where it just seems both teams are on the up and up, ignoring, top laners, because you might kind of notice later on that both top laners are, short bus commanders. Anyhow, like I said, my build is going to be very tanky. However, I am buying an Abyssal Scepter right now. The Abyssal Scepter will be mostly just to help out the LeBlanc a little bit, but also help me against their wide amount of magic damage. My idea is that I'm going to go in there, use my ultimate, and yeah, I'll probably be shot down by Lucian, but if I get blown up after I've used my ultimate and all that stuff, it's kind of fine. It's mostly just the nimbleness of abilities and everything. Anyways, I slingshot myself on the Aria to stop her and to save my LeBlanc at the same time, though I thought I was going to make it out alive as well. Unfortunately, they get really dedicated at diving me, and I used my ultimate in kind of a panic, because I didn't think I was going to get dove, and then I get picked off, so that's actually really bad. In most situations with a champion that has a high as hell cooldown, especially on their ultimate, and that they kind of revolve around, you don't want to use it at all. Just kind of accept the fact that you're dead. So it kind of sucks. My team fighting potential is really down now that I have to wait for my ultimate. But fortunately, not that much shit's gonna happen right now. We're just kind of once again recouping ourselves, trying to get control of the map, and trying to be the team that gets the bitter initiation down. So yeah. Again, I love these types of games. It's just it's a game of chess essentially. Both teams are very meticulously working together. Like that situation right there, Braum and Lucian were obviously thinking the same thing, and were able just to stave off a gank, although it wasn't the most cleanest gank. Janna and Jhin roaming around while we basically give up bottom lane because they needed to go pick off the Renekton and help push some other lanes. We pick up the Renekton, then Braum gets caught. I believe he managed to survive mostly because Zach showed up in time to offer some buffering services right there. And then we gravitate towards bottom lane. We're trying to clear more wards. Braum gets a little too close, and he ends up getting picked off. So, he just kind of messed up on that. Ahri goes in a little too cockily and then gets shot down by Jhin. This is a very monumental situation for us because we're able to take down, I believe, just one turret for basically very little effort, and then back up to get the dragon as well. But you can see, both the team members for both teams are pretty much in sync. And they respond to our little dragon situation very well. They know they can easily take our tower. In fact, they even dived me. Although that would have been super risky in most of the situations, they knew the rest of my teammates were going to be busy getting back to the lane. So we don't even kill anybody until really late. I think only one of theirs dies, and it requires a massive amount of effort. And I think none of us die either. Actually, yeah, surprisingly, nobody died on this, or at least for now. But you saw everyone was working together. It was just a meticulous, a showboating fight. It was like a lot of the members got very close to death. But I gotta give props to the Janna and Braum for basically making sure nobody in either team died in that situation. It was pretty damn ballsy. You can replay that and you can watch the supporters pretty much just pull it out of their asses. I didn't even in the real game I didn't know how Jhin died. But either way, watch this. I'm hanging out here just to give the Riven a little bit back up, and they know Janna was here, but they didn't know I was here. So jump on the Lucian. He pops his spells and he barely survives, and then the Riven goes Riven mode and actually manages to kill the Lucian despite fucking up a lot. Then Ahri comes through, blasts away, Janna forces her out. I slingshot back onto her just to make sure she stops any more further combos, and then she gets too close to the LeBlanc's range and gets blown up. So that turned out very well for us, but I hope you saw what both me and Janna did. Janna basically negated one of her dashes, which was big enough to create a lot of distance for the LeBlanc, so she wouldn't be blown up. Then I used my slingshot on her to basically negate her other dash, and then the Ahri kept chasing, and that resulted in her dying. So it's a little bit you can see all the little emotions in play that result in big consequences. Anyhow, we're going to soon come up to one of the more dirtier situations. Look at LeBlanc's... I get jumped on by all of them, but this is on purpose because I feel like we're going to sandwich the Lucian. But the LeBlanc fails both her dashes over the wall. And even though I feel that was a pretty good ultimate and we had a good chance of killing the Lucian and then probably picking off the Ahri, it just completely fails because she failed her part. It's kind of one of those honest mistakes where a lot of people make it, they fail a flash or something. But because she did that, it cost us very dearly. Then, of course, Riven goes Riven mode and basically dies for no reason. So, I remember I told you, top laners, you usually ignore them when they're making any big plays. Like, even Renekton dove a little too much. Even if he did get the kill, he was probably going to die because he was too deep into everything. So both top laners basically went full stupid there. Anyways, that death by the Renekton and the Lucian was huge enough for us to get the Baron. And of course, this is a big tide shifter for us. Even though the enemy team started getting the upper hand because of some very choice kills on us, this Baron is basically going to allow us to bulldoze the enemy team. And now I think they're starting to get some arguments because they're starting to split push and ignore the rest of their... We'll ignore this. Then Braum gets close, I slingshot onto him, not to a very kind of poor effect, but then Braum gets, you know, he's forced to burn his flash. He gets a good ultimate in, but with our Janna and our Baron, we really aren't going to die anytime soon. Of course, though, we can't really dive them, so we're just taking shots at them while Zac pushes mid. LeBlanc backed away. I go into the Lucian, but look at this. I don't know what happened to the Riven, but she just, I think she got stunned momentarily. But because of that, she completely wasn't able to finish off the Lucian, so that was kind of a moot ultimate. Still though, we didn't lose anybody there. We took a couple towers, so in the end, it's still beneficial for us, and we didn't completely waste the Baron. Anyways, now that that's gone, we're basically back to the waiting around for a team fight mode. And again, even though we won the last one rather unfairly, honestly, they can still win. Watch this situation here at play. They're gonna get tunneled in on me. This is exactly what I want. I mean, this is Amumu's wet dream. They group up on me, they get a little too close, I ult them. However, we don't have the damage backing up here. LeBlanc and Riven are miles away. So while we do kill somebody, it's gonna cost Jin's life in the end, and my life too. And then Riven finally shows up, and when she should have been here a while ago, and unfortunately can't really muster up anything. So it's just kind of, we kind of died a needless death. I mean, or that little situation that would have worked out so well for us kind of backfired. Well, it wasn't as good as it could be because Riven had a thumbs up her ass. Anyways, basically that whole thing, as cool as it was for me and the Jin and the Janna working together, it was a moot point. Just kind of, it's just those situations where you kind of want a top liner to pay attention. Anyways, Zac went in, he got his ultimate, passive blown up. I get an ultimate on basically everyone. Zac wasn't alive to get hit by it, but yeah, get it on everybody, and now we're basically just chasing them down. And they focused me. And at this point, I can't be killed as quickly, and that is exactly what I want. We catch the Lucian after Riven basically tanks everything in the face for some reason and gets picked off. And then LeBlanc manages to tether on the Ari despite the flash and brings her down as well. And this allows us to conquer 2 towers and get the inhibitor as well. This is a catastrophic swing for us. It's basically causing the countdown for the enemy team. If they can't somehow make a play from this, then they're going to lose. And unfortunately, it seems to be the case. Braum gets caught. We force a bunch of their resources out. Ari has to burn her ultimate just to survive. And with that, we go for the Baron, which they can barely contest because the Zac isn't getting any support from his teammates. And of course, you can see that the Riven decides to go fuck off, even though we tell her we should probably go get Elder Dragon. So she goes to do her own thing, and we easily kill the Elder Dragon. So now we're Super Saiyan mode with both Baron and the Elder Dragon. Here, I'm going to go from behind the tower just to basically be like, hey, I'm a little mummy boy, come close and hug me and I'll kill all of you. So, like, Braum can't do shit, and he gets a little too close, and he gets picked off. And with that, I'm always going to say it's just GG. Even when I was playing, I'm like, they cannot recover from this. They're a man down. We're Super Saiyan mode. Like, hell, they can't... A full combo from Mari can barely tickle me, so... Yeah, we're just waiting for someone to get out of position so we can one-shot them. They're being sieged from everywhere. We're super powered. There's nothing they can do. And they try very hard, and honestly, they put up a very good game. But it was just a big old screw up from from the Renekton that kind of just swung it off. And it just goes to show all it takes is one person screw up, and you just gotta hope that your screw up is less terrible than the enemy team's screw up. Either way, hooray for Amumu. Zac's still better though. This channel is supported by my sponsors, Crunchyroll and Loot Crate. Check out the description below for links to the websites. Signing up for any trials, including Crunchyroll's free anime trial, greatly supports my channel. Also remember to give the video a like to support the channel and subscribe if you haven't yet. I've also made a Patreon now, and if you wish to support me through that medium, then I welcome it.